Yes, so I see that translation has started, and I guess we can also start. Our participants will join, and we are welcoming them. And I would like to start with a small organizational moments. First of all, greetings to all of you. I really enjoy our meetings, and I like that you are here with us. And the first moment that I would like to share is that we really love lively discussions. So if you would like to give some comments, point of views, or put some questions, please use actively our Discord chat. I believe the link to it was provided to you via email invitation, and you will also find it in YouTube comments. So please use it and put your questions and comments. I will look through it, and we will discuss it. So participate in it. And I guess we can then start. So no more organizational moments from me. And this is our second DEVchata event after relaunch. And today we will have an incredible speaker, Rana, but we have tradition at our DEVchata events that I don't present speaker because I think it is a more effective way when speaker can present herself. So Rana, the stage is yours. Please tell a little bit more about yourself and how you got into IT.
Thank you very much. I'm super happy to be here. Hi, everyone. So my name is Rana Ersgård, and I live in Stockholm. I have been working in the IT industry ever since I graduated, which was a long time ago, so since 2005. And semi-accidentally ended up in a field where I worked a lot with sales in the IT industry, with business development, with organizational structures, processes, and grew also the leadership path in parallel in this domain. So yeah, that's me. I have 2 children. They are 15 and 13, and I live with them and my husband.
Cool. Thank you very much for sharing. This is quite a journey. I would like to say that I also started my journey with sales department. So I guess there's something in common between us. And for those who probably don't know who am I am Kate Zachovaiko, and I am a host of all our DEVchata events. I am for more than 5 years in IT, and also besides that, I have my own company, Happy Project, that works in a domain of self-development, science of well-being, and developing people. So this is me. And I guess we can switch to the topic of our conversation. And during our previous event, we've got a lot of questions regarding glass ceiling and how to grow in IT, how to become a leader in IT. So we basically understood that this is a very important topic for our participants. And that's why we decided to take this topic for our today event. And I guess, Rana, you are the best speaker for this topic. That's why it would be very valuable for our participants if you could share a little bit of your personal details, whether you have faced this glass ceiling yourself and maybe how you overcame it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, first of all, I would like to say that my experiences are my own and others have other experiences. And this is a big and quite complicated topic. But I think first thing, it's good to establish that there is a ceiling, but it's a ceiling for everybody in a way, because the higher up in classical organizations or in hierarchies or in powerful positions or whatever we call them, the fewer seats there are. So the competition is harder, and there are limited seats available pretty much for everybody. And then to add to that, I think that for some groups, including women, it's has been historically a little bit harder to get one of those seats. And I think there is a lot of research around this area that can probably summarize it better than me. But my experience is that it's a mix of a harder competition, fewer seats, and also some old structures or some maybe even human structures. Like it's very common, although nowadays people are working with it, but if you look at past times, historically, people hire people who are like them. Like they recognize themselves. They hire a friend, somebody who looks like them, speaks the same language, have the same hobbies that they feel comfortable with. And it becomes like a self-enforcing mechanism that you have a very homogenic group and it feels comfortable to bring in another guy or another of this similar type. So I think that's why these efforts of breaking that up and kind of fostering diversity is very, very important, but also not super easy because it's many mechanisms at play.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And I guess this is one of the main reasons probably why for women it is a little bit harder to go to more top positions, because usually, as you said, people hire people similar to themselves. And I guess maybe you can share if there are some other reasons, because it seems in this case it seems like it's a vicious circle. So we have guys on top positions and we want to have diversity there, but people hire similar people to themselves. But maybe there are some other reasons you would like to mention. And also, I guess, sorry for me speaking a lot, but it is quite important, as you say, to understand that many of some reasons, they are for all, not only for women. But why we also would like to speak a little bit more about women is that one of our missions is to inspire them. So I guess by knowing these specific reasons can help us to work with these specific reasons and to help people to get to the higher positions.
Yeah. I think as a society, it starts early. There are fewer young girls who are interested in IT or programming or more technical areas. Again, this is improving, but that's something where I would say that encourage younger girls to go into this field, because again, if there are fewer women to choose from and the seats are fewer, you're going to up with a man. So education is one part of it, but I think also for more women to have the courage to take business roles, like take a business responsibility. Sales is a great path into that. It's one of the ways, it's not the only way. Because having some sort of result or profit and loss responsibility, it's much easier to have results black and white of what you can achieve. There are other areas where you also, of course, can have good performance and so on. But typically, if you look at the gender distribution in the top biggest companies in Sweden today, they look okay. I mean, they are what they are and they have improved and so on. But if you dig a little bit deeper, you see that the female executives on the leadership positions, they are more often in communications, HR, maybe marketing, but a little bit more people oriented, not the business manager, not the area manager, not the CEO, not the CFO. CFO maybe a mix. Don't take my word for it. there is a report we can send the link to as well. But yeah, so I think having the courage to or the interest or try out a more business related role. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Don't shy away from it just because it seems like a manly domain. Of course, that depends on the company culture and so on, but there is a little bit of that feeling sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. And I also recall this situation on the previous event. We've been speaking about some domains that are mainly predominated by girls or by boys. And we spoke that sometimes guys, they have a similar discrimination, but in other areas. So I guess I have one of my friends that tried to start his journey in HR. It was quite a challenge for him to join HR team, because some companies that they were not mature enough and they were looking for women to join this team. Yeah, so I guess that this is also a very interesting topic, and perhaps for men, it might be a little bit more of a challenge to lead such departments as HR, communications, and so on and so forth. But I would also like to remind our participants that please participate in discussions, put your questions in chat. I'm constantly monitoring our communication channels, so don't be shy. So I guess we can speak a little bit more about how to deal with these reasons that we've been previously talking about, because knowing these reasons, it can help us, but we should know how to overcome them. So maybe you can share some kind of advice or an algorithm how to work with these reasons.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about this, and of course, there is not like a right answer, but I'm trying to identify, like, from different workplaces, different situations that I have been in, what is like the common things that could be good to think about to navigate through this. I think I would like to mention a couple of them. One is, and this is super easy to say, but maybe not so easy to do, but find a version of yourself that you're comfortable with. Like, I mean, that's something that's not new in leadership. It's like, don't copy somebody's style, but I think it's really, really important, because we want diversity because it's good. It's better for companies. It creates better results. So we don't want everybody to start copying some image or some view or some idea of how a manager looks like that is, again, not modern anymore, or not relevant, or not needed. So find a version of yourself, find a way of being able to be as close to your real person as you can, also in work. I think that's important, because it will come through in your leadership style, it will come through in your conflict management, it will come through in how you relate to other people. So that is one. The second is make friends and allies in wherever you are working. Find and surround yourself with good people as far as possible, especially if it's somebody who you can learn something from, or who you can get emotional support from, or that you can just bond with and have a ventilation and a support. It could be in your company, it could be outside your company, but find people who can support you and kind of have your back and you can lean on. And then I would also highlight the kind of growth mindset in a way, but a little with a little bit more twist. It's very, I mean, before you have done anything for the first time, how would you know how to do it? Like, there are some things that you can learn a bit, but in theory, but then you have to start doing it. And thinking that, instead of thinking, oh, but I don't know how to do that, think, I haven't learned how to do that yet. How do I get about to learning it? And in a way also not fear failure, like try, fail, try again, like pick up on the horse quicker next time. So those would be my kind of main helpful things. But those are quite generic for everybody. It's not a female version or a female woman twist on it. So besides that, I would say for women who want to make a kind of career in leadership, of course, you have to be good at what you do and you have to show results and all of that. But besides that, and here's the difference, is that it's good to be mindful of some traps that many good girls easily fall into. And for example, don't take notes unless it's actually part of your job. Like, in a meeting, it's very, very often it happens that a woman ends up taking notes or offers to take notes. Again, if it is your job, then of course, yes. But like those things that we do without thinking about it, if nobody else is cleaning up the table, and it's not your turn to clean up the table, then don't clean up the table. It sounds super silly, but it's kind of these small things sometimes that you want, in those cases, you want to be part of the group who is looking successful and behaving in a certain way. And because if enough people see you cleaning up the table, next time they will expect you to clean up the table, although it's not your job. So it's kind of be a little bit mindful of the context and make sure that you are not doing things that you don't want to do, or they are not part of your job, but you're kind of expected just because. That would be my advice. Would love to hear any comments around this if there are, because I know it can sound a bit strange, but I think there is a value of kind of how you are perceived, and also how other people sees you could be good to keep in mind.
Yeah, this is a very interesting point. I guess this is something that we should keep on our minds, because I usually also tend to do something because I can just do it, you know. But yeah, it can be a trap later. So I totally agree with you. And we also have a very interesting topic, very interesting comment in our chat, that there is a study that says that women are more likely to score a high paying position than men. They just have to apply more. So yeah, I would say that this is very inspiring, and maybe today is also our mission to encourage people to apply more for such positions. So yeah, and also I would like to comment a little bit on the growth mindset. I totally agree with you, and I think what is very important also for us, that we should be grateful for our experiences, and we should not underestimate our experience, how we get out of trouble, how we get out of failure. Because usually when we have a failure, we tend to think that, oh, it was bad, somebody could have not got into this failure, but I did. But in fact, you get out of it, and now you have experience how to deal with such kind of situations. So I guess it is very important to remember about this. And yeah, so please, if maybe somebody also would like to ask something, please share it. And I would also like to speak a little bit more about leadership. What might be a great leader for IT in your opinion?
Yeah, before we go there, I would just like to add one more thing as for a woman who wants to make a career. I think that if you plan to also have children, it's super important to have a supportive spouse, like if it's your husband or a partner or whatever situation you have, to have somebody that you share the household work with, or that even takes a bigger part of the household work. So that is really, really a key enabler. Like, make sure that you have the support around you at home. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. It is really important.
Yeah. I guess it is important because, you know, we usually speak about work-life balance, but still it is like two parts of one life of a person. And usually if you have something imbalanced in your personal life, it means that you will have less resource in your work-related life. So it is totally very important. Yeah, and also I recall that I would like to ask you about one more question before we switch to leadership, if you don't mind. So you were speaking about making allies and making friends and having sport in a team. And I guess it is, we have a kind of challenge now, because a lot of teams, they work remotely. And personally, I think that it is a little bit more difficult to get closer with people that you work with. And I would like to hear your opinion and maybe hear some thoughts from you, how you can make friends and make sport at work when you work remotely.
Yeah, it is difficult. I don't think I have a super good answer to that, but maybe, I mean, in most cases, even sometimes I know I worked with people for a year that I'd never met during COVID. Like and then I changed workplace and I still didn't meet them in life, but I had calls with them every day. So I think that one of the keys there is to maybe dare to be informal online. Like take some time after the meeting has ended, book a little bit extra in the calendar, chat about the day, ask something, personal. How is your kids, or what's the weather like? Or just it doesn't always have to be a meeting about something with an agenda and then close and then next meeting and then. So I think try to find these have a little bit of room in your online meetings so that you can chit chat a bit. Share funny links with each other or whatever on chats. It's like just if the feeling of somebody is on the other side and we can still connect, and ask for help. Like, don't hesitate. If you have something, if you're stuck on something, it's so easy to just try to solve it yourself, but ask somebody. They might have input that is good, or just get you to think in another direction, or just it's a reason to connect. Like, what do you think about this? Can you please help me with that? It's very, very powerful.
Yeah, I agree with you. And then I would like to add that usually people like to communicate with other people, not with some computers or another chat, and such things as asking for help or making some funny stuff. It is usually something that helps to see a human in you. So basically, yeah, I guess this is a very good point. So thank you very much for sharing it. And we have a great question in our chat from Oksana. I will read it to you. And so basically the question is like this. Oksana told that she has a comment regarding your point about taking notes and cleaning table. Isn't this kind of way to attract attention when you are just starting your career path? So it might be something that will help you get noticed only when you offer help and try to cover tasks that are not your responsibility. So maybe where is this balance between
It's a very good question, and I think that there is, of course, a balance. And what I meant is, because I'm also like a little bit dual about this. Specifically, taking notes can be very powerful because you're sitting on the information and you can shape it a bit. But what I meant are that, yes, you should offer to do things that are important, or that are relevant, or that can show your skills, or that can help whatever process is going on forward. But if you help by offering to clean up the table, that's not going to say anything about your professional potential to anybody other than cleaning the table. So yes, do be proactive, and do like raise your hand and take on responsibilities, but on things that matter, not the other stuff. So I don't know if that's a good answer, but of course there is a balance there, and it's very easy also you want to be pleasant, you want to have a nice feeling, you don't want to have a conflict, you don't be the weird person standing out, and you want to blend in. But make sure that you keep an eye on what is it that is good to put your hand up on, and what is it that is not.
Yeah, so I guess this is a very good point, that you should take initiative in the area that could help to point out your skills. So this is a very, very good point. Thank you very much. And Oksana, thank you very much. I think this was an amazing question. And this is why I like these discussions, because it helps us to get another perspective on something, because we are, biased. We speak on some experiences we had, and it is very important to get some other experiences. So yeah, and I also have a question related to this topic. Sometimes when you participate in a meeting or in a team where you think that you are less qualified than other people or have less skills than them, it is a little bit easier to do such kind of job as cleaning table or something like that. And how you can maybe show yourselves and show your skills when you think that other team members are much more skilled than you?
In some cases, maybe they are, because of course as a young person, you come in the first time, you don't know, or so I would say that there are two I'm thinking out loud now. There are two parts to this. One is like the normal kind of confidence, trust in yourself, a little bit more, again, easy to say, hard to do.
Yeah.
But maybe a concrete way to overcome it is that if you have a colleague who you think that, oh, they really seem to know what they're doing. I have no clue, and they seem to know what they're doing. Ask to be part of it. Ask to, can I support you in this project? I would love to learn a bit, and I can, do the tasks that I'm capable of doing, and I would just like to get a glimpse of how this whatever works. So ask to be brought in, because then you can see for yourself whether it was rocket science or not, and you can learn stuff, and you can kind of get a little bit of practical experience as well. So that would be my concrete tip.
Yeah, thank you. I guess this is a very good tip. And yeah, I was also thinking that maybe sometimes we tend to think that we are constantly under the process of validation, so every step we do, or every, I don't know, job we do, we think that we will be have this validation after this job is done. But basically, sometimes job is just job, and you can not consider your teammates as some people that are like teachers or mentors. They are just your team members, and they are usually willing to help you grow. So yeah,
and I mean, a lot of people, including myself, I think, are quite it's rewarding to share knowledge. Like it's a good thing, it's a good feeling, and it also helps you sometimes to come up with other ideas while you are explaining something. And I would even say that in those cases, it's even, be transparent. You can even say like, hey, I have no idea of how budget processing work, and it sounded like you're going to start a budget process. Would you mind if I sit in on a couple of meetings and just pick something up? Like, you don't even have to pretend that you know more, or that you will take over half of the task or something. You can like be open that I would like to participate so that I can learn more.
Yeah, so this is a very good point. So you don't need to use your resource for doing like less meaningful jobs that won't prove your skills. If you are not confident about your own skills, then the best decision might be to cooperate with someone who is more skilled, and to gain this skill. So this is a very good point. So yeah, I guess we can then switch to the leadership and the perfect leader in IT. Maybe you can share your thoughts about this. Who might be the perfect leader for IT?
Oh, I think there are many perfect leaders for IT. Honestly, I have not worked in another business, so I can't really compare. Like, I don't know how it is in a bank or a construction site, but I think that probably some of the things I already mentioned about finding a version of yourself that you're comfortable with, that goes for everything. And then the kind of, let's say, normal items on that list that usually pop up. It's like being able to delegate, being able to kind of be transparent, trust other people. But I think one thing that probably many leaders I have seen have in common is that they can both have the big picture and be able to zoom in on some details when it's needed. Like that combination of like being able to see connections, see kind of dependencies, see larger processes of what needs to happen, or what the challenges or whatever, but also being able to understand a little bit of the details behind, to pick up certain things, or a certain number, or a certain detail, or something. So kind of, and it doesn't mean that you have to understand everything in all parts of the company or the scope or the project, but you have to understand enough of the details to understand what impacts the big picture. So that mix of being able to zoom in and zoom out as needed, I think, is probably a good trait.
Yeah, this is a very interesting thing, because I guess in some kind we all that we speak about is about finding balance, delegation. This is also kind of finding balance between what you should do and what you should delegate. And here we have the same situation. To what extent you should understand the details, and where it would be a waste of time for you to understand those details. So maybe I will ask a very practical question. I hope you will find the answer for it. But what helps you to find this balance? For example, if we speak about seeing big picture and going into detail, maybe there are some, thoughts that come into your mind that you pick and think, here I should look at the big picture, and here I should zoom in. So maybe some thoughts on this topic.
Oh, that's a difficult question.
I know.
Let me see if I can come up with a concrete example. Okay, I was at one point, I was a project manager for a software implementation, and I kept hearing from different parts of the project that we can't, like, timeline is changing, or problems are coming up because of something related to integration. Like, it was just, but this integration is so complicated. This integration is so complicated. And then I started to feel that, okay, this is something that is impacting the big picture, but I don't really understand why or how, or exactly what type of complication it is. So then I started to kind of dig in a little bit and sit down with a business analyst or whatever it was, and ask them nicely, can you please walk me through what it is that is making this timeline go up and down, or what it is that's so complicated with this integration? And again, they took the time to explain to me, not on a code level. I didn't need to understand on a code level, but more like, okay, it's because we have the master data here, and we have this there, and we're dependent on that, and then I could understand. And that helped me to try to help the team to think of other maybe creative ways, or being an enabler as a project manager to try to remove the blockers, or putting pressure on some other team that we were depending on, or whatever it is. But again, so I needed to understand a little bit more, because I felt that things are impacting the big picture that I don't have a clue of why or what, or to what extent. So yeah, it's probably when you feel that you can't answer the question, like what is it with this integration? Then it's like, oh, okay, maybe I need to know.
Yeah, Rana, thank you very much. This is a very good example, I guess, that help us to understand this situation. I was also thinking about what is on the other side of axis, So when, for example, maybe you can give another example when a person, a leader, is getting into too much detail, and it isn't helping at all. So we can understand also this situation.
Yes. So, well, that's a big topic. But I think there are different types of leadership that I personally do not appreciate. One version is obviously micromanagement. I mean, it's really demotivating if you have worked on something, and then somebody comes and wants to change a line just for the sake of it. It's not like even changing the content. That can be a little bit stressful. But I think that the bigger thing is to have leaders that do not have your back. That is not a good. If you have that feeling, get out, get another boss. I think that people should actually vet their managers equally as managers vet their candidates. Like, if you're in the position of changing jobs, or you're entering a job, or you're offered a position or whatever, ask for references about that manager, because it is so big difference if you have a good supportive manager, or if you have a toxic manager that doesn't support you, or doesn't trust you, or doesn't have your back. So that, I would say, is also one of the things that I would give as a good tip to kind of understand as much as you can about the company culture, but most importantly, the manager. What are they like? Others that have been working for them before, what's their experiences? Because yeah, I think it's very, very important to have good support, both from your colleagues, if you're a manager, from your team members, if you have a manager, from your manager, so from everybody around you to be able to do your best.
Okay, got you. I have one more question just to clarify what we've been speaking about recently. So basically, can we say that a good balance for a manager is to not get into such details that you prevent your subordinates from growth? And on the other side, your subordinates should feel that you support them and is that you are on their side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if you give people a task, a clear task, you should trust them that they are capable to do it, but also offer to help. Like, please come back if you get stuck, or if it wasn't clear, or if you have a better idea, or whatever. We can kind of work on it together if needed. But until they come back and actually ask for your help, then I expect that they are actually progress is happening and things are good. I think that might be the optimal level. Like, check in a little bit here and there, but stay out when people have been given a task. I can myself say that I'm not so good at this. Sometimes I need to keep that. I need to be mindful, because sometimes it feels like, oh, it's easier if I just do it myself, or I have a view in my head of how I want it to be, and then I kind of just go there. And in some cases, it's okay, and but in other cases, I really need to remind myself that, okay, take a step back. Somebody else is probably better at it than you are. Wait for the result, or for somebody who wants my input, and then trust the process.
Yeah, I guess being a good manager, a good leader is a lifelong learning process. Yeah, so we have also one more question in the chat. Sandra asked, do you think how you look, whether how you look is important to be seen as professional, especially when you are in remote team?
Oh, I think, unfortunately, to a certain extent, maybe, but not in the way, I mean, not in an Instagram way. That can even be the opposite, actually. So I think that there is this part I feel has become better in the world, but I think it's more about maybe, let's see, this was a difficult question. There are two sides to this. If you don't, like, for example, if you take me, I'm quite short in real life. that's I'm 160. That's maybe a benefit online, but I work in the Nordics. People are super tall here, and a lot of them are men. And I walk into a room and people are like 2 meters, and I look tiny. It's like, so that's that can be a downside. If you are like super, at least this is maybe my own prejudice, but I think that if you are super duper fixed, like, really the heavy makeup and stuff like that, it could have also like a slightly negative opposite, like it's, oh, you only care about how you look, you're probably not so good at your job. Maybe, I'm not sure about this one myself. So again, this is also like the female curse, like you always have to have the right balance of everything. It's like not too much of this and not too much of that, and not but I think in a way maybe it's also similar for men, but this goes back to like looking like everybody else in the rooms, like the whole diversity thing, or if you're a person of color, that's yet another dimension. So it's like a complicated question, so I'll stop rambling here.
Yeah, this question is quite interesting because it brings me to such kind of direction in my thoughts that I started thinking about corporate culture and about differences in companies. And I would say that it depends also on kind of company you work in. And I would like to ask you in terms of this, how do you think of what might be, what are like red flags in company culture that you should pay attention to, especially if you would like to grow? So, for example, if you would like to become a leader or a top manager, maybe what company is a bad choice, what is a good choice? And also another question for companies, what culture they should employ in order to get like best top managers and leaders.
Okay. Let's start. Now you lost me when you added the second question.
Yeah, okay, we can go to the first part. And what are the red flags and green flags in company culture if you would like to go there?
Okay, I think trust your gut feeling. Like, I mean, because company culture is so different for different people, what they like and what they don't like. But if you see things that are clearly, like, I don't know, somebody's friend always getting promoted, even if they're not doing a good job. I mean, that's not a good sign. That probably is not going to change in the first, easy way. I think that if and especially for women, if you go to a company, and even it doesn't matter where the position is, but if you look at their leadership team and there are 10 men who looks the same, it's gonna be difficult to advance in that company, probably. Again, it doesn't always have to be like that, but and I think that if there is a company, I mean, of course there are clear things. If there's like a huge gap between women and men salaries for the same position, like why? I mean, in most cases it's not even legal, but so I would consider like benefits, how they treat people who are on maternity or paternity leave, how the mix looks like in different parts of the company, and again, in very big companies, it could be a huge difference between different departments. So then it's about the team and the people close around you. But yeah, I think most people are you get a feeling, like either it's direct or after a while you get a feeling this doesn't feel good. It doesn't resonate with me, or I don't like how they approached this difficult time in the company, or I don't like the decision to, I don't know, do something. And then it's like, then you should consider leaving.
I see. And maybe what you can do on this research phases regarding the company, so you don't, go to some job and then after 3 or 4 months you understand that it is not okay and the company culture is not fine for me. So what you can do earlier?
Yeah, it's always a gamble, to be honest, because you never know unless you're really in there. But you can do some things. I mean, you can look up their yearly report or annual report. All companies have something. You can try to see who is in the leadership team, what's their backgrounds, what have they done. You can try to see if like there are people in your network or somebody who knows somebody that has worked there before, and you can reach out and ask. You can look at LinkedIn, look at other people who are working there. Who are they? Do you know somebody? What do they seem to be? I don't know. It's like so it's you can do it to a certain extent, but then I still think it's about how you feel, and things can change over time. Like you can be really, really satisfied in one place for many years, and then it could be because of external factors or internal within yourself, and you feel that maybe I'm done with this, or maybe I need another challenge, or maybe it's time to explore. I think in sometimes, at least in the Nordic countries, I feel that maybe it's less now with the younger generation, but people stay too long, even if they're unhappy, and that's not good for them. It's not good for the company. So taking that, maybe it's the growth mindset again, or it's the risk part to kind of take the leap and see what else is out there, and make a conscious decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. We also have questions from Oksana about delegation. So basically, the first question is what you can do if you get not what you expected from your subordinates, and how you should react. Should you get into micromanagement in this case? And the second question was, what is the best way to explain your team what you actually need? So I guess this is like one big question, in fact.
Yeah. I would, in that case, I would explain what I'm gonna use it for, or like why it's not what I expected. And those are a little bit connected to the second part of her question, because I think that if you're transparent of what you're trying to do, or if it's, I don't know, maybe it's a presentation, who you're going to use it for and what type of message you're going to get across and what is important and not important, then it will be easier for the person to understand what you're looking after. And if you get something that is not what you expected, I would recommend to sit down and say, okay, I was thinking more in lines of this or that, or I think that this part is good, but maybe this part we can expand here, and have that open conversation with the feedback of what you would like to see. Explain why, and ask the counterpart if like, okay, does this now make sense? Do you see what I'm looking for? Or do you think you can take another round at this? Or should we start together? Like, so a combination of explaining, clarifying, and offering support to help get it going.
Good, Rana. Thank you very much. If anybody would also like to ask something, please don't be shy. We are here. And I also would like to give you one more question regarding the glass ceiling. So you are totally right. There are like less seats, and we have a competition for these seats. And maybe you can share your opinion regarding what skills, what competencies you should get in order to have this competitive advantage and to have more chances for competing with other people and for getting this position.
Yes. I mean, of course, there's like subject matter expertise, like if you're, into a certain field, and then it's good if you're good at that and you continuously educate yourself in that area and so on. But I think I'll maybe partly answer your question and partly answer something else. I think one thing that happens in those fewer seats is that it becomes more and more important to have, I'm not going to say risk appetite, but you will need to make decisions without knowing everything and without knowing for sure all the facts, because they change all the time and there is no guarantee. So that ability of being able to dare to make a decision, it could be the right decision, it could be the wrong decision, that's the problem, you don't know. But to dare to make a decision with that uncertainty of information, or incomplete information, or not perfect information, and still be able to say that, okay, but we probably need to do something because we need to go in this direction. And because the more responsibility you have, the more of that will happen. That you are in this position where you have to, like, okay, we still need to make a decision, or we need to react or do something. And I think that again, that balance of how much to kind of try to dig for more information and have a baseline and secure your decision making and so on, versus having the kind of guts to say that, okay, let's do this now. If we can adjust later, if we fail, let's try again. But otherwise we stand still, and that's also a decision, but it's not a conscious one, and mostly of the time not a good one either. So I would say practice your ability to make decisions without knowing exactly what's right or wrong, where there is no right answer.
Mm-hmm. This is quite interesting. I was while I was listening to you, I was thinking that I guess it might also be quite important to be able to notice things fast. So because everything is changing, you should notice all these things. And the other thing is to being flexible and to react fast to these things. Because even if you make a good decision or a bad decision, it becomes good or bad because you know got other turn or you react to something, because sometimes you can have a good decision but then you didn't adapt to some new changes and it became a bad decision, you know.
Yeah, I think, and not only in IT, but I mean in the world today, it's like it's like constant change, and it has been for many years, but it feels like it's accelerating. So it is also that ability to quickly reassess and also be able to admit if something was wrong. It's like, okay, but we decided this a year ago, but the world is not there today, and we need to do something else, or we need to reverse it, or we need to, and that is, it's a little bit of a pride thing, but I think it's also connected to the image of somebody in charge who's supposed to be right all the time, and that I mean, we're humans. That's not the case. So you have to be able to feel grounded enough in yourself to say, look, this is what I said last year. I have changed my mind, or I have taken in new information, or it didn't work as I thought it would. We need to do something else, and be transparent with it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I have one more question regarding to competitive advantage when you're competing with other candidates, especially for some top management or leadership position. Maybe this would be a very subjective question, but what might be a criteria for you why you can select somebody out of these people? So maybe to what points you will pay attention to, maybe in communication, maybe in skills, maybe in some other aspects.
Yes, also a difficult question. I have so many difficult questions.
Sorry, I love difficult questions.
Yeah, no, I think that I think for me it's very and that's the problem. It's very personal sometimes. I mean, like there are tests and there are CVs and there are this and there are that, but I think that for me it's about some people's ability to quickly understand things, like grasp quite or semi-complicated things, like if they ask good questions, that's also like a good sign. And if I feel that I would love to take a coffee with them as well. Like, you have to remember that you meet your colleagues more than you meet your family at least in the weekdays. So it has to be on some level. You don't have to be best friends with everybody, but it's good also if people are pleasant to work with. So a combination of skills, experience, quickness in picking things up, and a nice person.
Mm-hmm. I see. I have one more difficult question. Sorry for that. This case, I guess, was mainly if we have some competition and some external people. But if you should select somebody from the team you are already working with, and so you know all of them, you know how they work, what criteria you will pay most attention to?
But if it's a team that I have worked with, then it's probably people that I know what they're good at, I know what they're not so good at. I would go with a little bit of in that case, I would go with the trust level. Like if let's say that I have a team and I need to appoint somebody to take after me, for example. Then I think it would be okay. But if I were sick tomorrow, who would I want to? I mean, who do I trust to make sure that things doesn't fall apart? And usually if you're working with a team, you kind of already know that, or you have a feeling for it. So yeah, some sort of trust, ability, and based on their previous work, I would say.
I see. I will let you know why I'm asking all these questions, because I was thinking, for example, if I am your team member and I would like to grow and I would like to get, for example, your position, sorry for that, you know what I mean. I should understand basically then what tasks do you have, and what competencies should I develop in order to get to be a best fit for these tasks. Please let me know if I'm right in this.
Okay, but then I would recommend you to tell this to me, and not like so. I've actually had a little bit of that in previously. I usually want to be able to support my team or a team in a growth and career and so on. I think it's very important that they feel that they can be honest with their ambitions and what they want. Like, okay, I'm happy with my tasks right now, but in 1 year's time, I'm probably going to want to be a project manager, for example, because then I can help them to get there. Like, I can help them to, okay, but then you should take this course, or then I can connect you with that person because I know they're looking for a PM trainee, or so that's something that I think is also very important, especially if you are mentoring or managing younger people. Ask about their ambitions, and then you can together work out a plan. And if somebody then says, "Oh, but maybe I would like to have your position in the future," then I would actually be, yeah, okay, cool. Let's sit down together. You can join me for a couple of meetings, or you can start by taking a little bit more tasks from me that I can delegate to you, or something like that. I hope I would be so gracious, but I think probably that's yeah. I think it's because if people get stuck and feel that they don't develop, you're going to lose them anyway. So you might as well help them get there, and then you will have an ally in wherever they end up. So yeah, I think it's very important to support people to be the best they can be.
Yeah, I think this is very interesting. Usually when we speak about growing, we not often talk about telling about your ambitions to your manager. But I think it might be one of the most important things to do, because if they don't know that you would like to grow there, they might think of some other people to do this. So, and I guess maybe sometimes we don't do this because we fear of something. And I would like to ask you, what might be the fears in this situation and how we can work with them?
Oh, I think the fear is probably that somebody's going to say, no, you're good where you are. Just keep doing what you're doing. Like that's, or that somebody thinks that, oh, but then that means you're not happy at your job. Maybe I should start looking for your replacement. I mean, I can imagine that those would be the fears, right? Because otherwise, I think it's it's an opportunity that more people should use, like talk about what they would like to do, what they would like to be better at, what kind of positions they would like to have. Sometimes they will not get help. Sometimes maybe they will be ignored, but once in a while there will be somebody who will actually support them in getting there. And most of the time, I don't think they lose anything. I mean, I don't see a situation where it would be like unless it's a really strange company culture, but then I would question if you want to be there at all. So yeah, be in a place where it's okay to talk about your ambitions, maybe is good advice.
Yeah. And I guess it is also a very good point that even if you don't get the answer you would like to get, then you will know it for sure that maybe it is not a good place for you to grow.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I agree with you. Thank you. We have also one more question in chat. I guess we should cover it because we are going to the end of our discussion. So we have a question from Sandra. What are the resources you'd recommend for developing your leadership skills, like books, courses, YouTube channels, podcasts, or maybe something else that you have used?
Yeah, there is tons of leadership books out there. So you're putting me on the spot if I have to choose one. But I would look for this sounds really, really silly, but sometimes in some places they have like practical trainings, like you go to a leadership course or whatever, but not only the theory part, but the kind of practicing on communicating with people, or doing a feedback session, or having a salary negotiation, or I don't know, taking a difficult position. There are some type of management courses that do a lot of role play, like with others like you that are trying to learn. That could be quite good for some people who are like this type of training. Other than that, I would say practice your skill of asking for stuff. Like ask for more responsibility, ask for more money, ask for a chance to do something so you can prove your show results. Ask for a chance. Ask to learn more. Like I think we often don't ask enough. It's like it's not going to be. People are not going to give you stuff. You have to first ask. I think it's so practice asking. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I have a last question. It is kind of a little bit philosophical. If you have a chance to do like a small retrospective, what do you think, what were like the skills or maybe your personality traits that help you went to this position that you currently have? And also what might be the advice that you can give to your past self in order to get where you are?
Yeah, I think one thing that has helped me personally is that I don't like giving up, and I try to find creative solutions. This is very interesting. I mean, just thinking about it now, I am super zero creative. Like I cannot paint, I cannot sing, I cannot dance, I cannot I don't have that type of creativity. But at work, I try to find creative solutions for problems because I don't want to fail, right? So, and I don't want to give up. so I'm always trying to okay, but what if this goes wrong? And what if that goes wrong? What should we do instead? And what other options are there? So I think a little bit of a weird creativity. I also have managed to be myself a little bit more. I think that has helped. And probably being also somebody who likes personal relationships. It's also a good thing. And advice I would give to myself is probably don't take it too personally. Like pick your fights and don't take everything personally. I still something I'm dealing with, but it's sometimes we forget that a job, however meaningful it is and however impactful it is and so on, but at the end of the day, you also have your family, you have your health, you have your friends, you have your interests, and it's a job, and there are many other jobs. So make sure that you find a good balance in your life and don't take things personally. Pick your fights, and if it doesn't work, move on.
Cool. I guess this is a very good ending for our discussion. I am really grateful that you have been with us today, and I am really grateful that our discussion was about balance, about finding your true self. And I believe that we have inspired you, our participants, because we are doing this for you. Because if we have more good leaders and more inspired people, I believe that our IT industry would be also much better. So Rana, thank you very much for being with us. Our participants, thank you very much for good questions and comments. You will get the link to this recording, and maybe you will get some materials from us. So please stay tuned and come to our next events. They will be also very cool and inspiring. And have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.